I've just opened the Belfast Film Festival, you know, which has been extraordinary. And darling Claire is here tonight, she was there. And I couldn't believe that she wrote, you know, I met you at the Black Box and I'm going to meet you in Atlantic City. And I thought, what? You know. But it was so extraordinary because Irish people are a wee bit strange in that they don't actually appreciate success. They think you've got a bit above yourself and you change your accent and who the hell do you think you are? Wee bit. It's a Bob Geldof thing as well, not that I'm comparing myself to that, you know, very angry fella who's become nice. But I love him, I've always loved him. And that he did right, you know. They don't like it. You, the Irish, they don't like it if you leave and make it somewhere else. So I was trying to talk about that at home because 36 years later they invite me back to open the Belfast Film Festival with the Rocky Horror Picture Show. So I think that's called Fame at Last. It really was. And what was so extraordinary was that people were overjoyed. I was amazed that Belfast even knew what, I don't mean that, but what Rocky Horror was. But they do. You know, but I thought I just got on a boat at 17 and they forgot about me. You know, so it was really very, very gracious and quite emotional. It was lovely to go home and be appreciated.
Hello, Pat. Hi. I'm Mateo from Arizona, and I will talk to you later about coming to see us at Archon next year. But I have a question.
Well, I've always wanted to go to Arizona.
Hell yeah!
Cactuses and ostriches.
And the great rehab that I do.
But I have hopefully a new twist on an old question. Over the years, you and everyone involved in the phenomenon has been asked over and over, what do you think of it? Did you ever imagine it would last this long, etc., so on. My twist is this. What if someone in this room, one of the fans, or even better yet, you of now, were to time travel back to London 1973, and speak to 1973 Patricia Quinn, and explain the whole future history of what Rocky Horror was going to become? Number one, would you have believed it? And number two, what would you have thought of it, if you could put yourself in that headspace? Oh, man.
Well, okay. It's quite simple. Within the first week, we were the talk of the town. We're in a 60-room theater. We have Nuria, we have Vincent Price, we have Princess Margaret, we have David Bowie, we have Jagger and Bianca queuing up for the 60s with Elliot Gould. So what would that tell you?
Okay.
Yeah, and the point was, it wasn't about doing a film or anything like that. It's just people went mad for it. They did. And I stayed with it for 3 months, and then I was off with Christabel Pangloss to get the virtual woman, and Michael White let me go. And, you know, I had my last night at the Chelsea Classic, because I didn't want to move with Rocky Horror. I mean, it's, you know, it's very badly paid, and Michael White, stay, you know, and on I went. I think the other great thing is about Tim Curry's performance, which Richard O'Brien says, is that Tim Curry had 2 years on the stage doing this. So he'd gone from 60-seat theatre, down the road, Los Angeles, hit Broadway, was crucified on Broadway, and that's not funny, that's horrible. But the point is that I think Broadway didn't like any success from Los Angeles. I think there's a little competitive thing there. But, you know, that was meant to be his greatest moment, and they didn't like it. So the critics, I've forgotten that critic in particular, but he was the king of the critics. And that night, they said, no, we don't like your bloody little show. So, you know, that was very hard. So the knocks Tim took, and also, maybe unbeknown, but, you know, success is a very strange thing. So he was a tourist of Los Angeles, but when he bombed on Broadway, they all turned their backs, like that. Not very nice. But there you go. And then he survived to do the film. So when he made the film, as O'Brien said, the monster had grown, you know? So he had 2 years of playing that guy, and by then, there wasn't anything he didn't know what to do. That's why the performance is so extraordinary. And I was in Atlanta, Georgia, and Lips Down on Dixie cast. It was so great. And there was a black guy, Java, he's brilliant, and he plays Frank. And when I was watching him, I was really watching him, because I was meant to go for it and then go home, but I couldn't go home, because he was so good. And I suddenly realized the work that Java was doing, and they're kicking up with their heels, and they're riding the horse, you know, the energy that Java had to produce to play Frank was extraordinary to me. Oh, Jesus, did Tim Curry do that? But he did.
Wonderful. We have another question right over here.
Hi there.
Hi.
I was wondering, what has your experience been working on Meaning of Life with John Cleese?
Well, first of all, John Cleese is a marvelous actor. And at the time, I was doing a Hammer House of Horror film, and Brunella G used to arrive at work and say, knickers off, ready for work. Sorry about that. So when I went to see Mr. Cleese, he said, well, I'm afraid there's going to be a little bit of nudity in this one. And my agent said, you don't want to do any work. Isn't it? I think you're right. And so John Cleese says, I said, don't worry about it. Brunella said knickers off, ready for work, so you're right. Anyway, so when we got to it, I was actually on the West End stage playing Bedroom Fast at the Prince of Wales Theatre. So I did that film shoot in a day. And Terry Jones was directing the film. And he sort of came around at lunchtime and said, Pat, I was just wondering, as it's a sexy, you know, do you think you could take your bra off? I said, sorry? What? You know, so I kind of had no time to argue. I couldn't ring an agent and say, can we stop this till tomorrow? Da-di-da-di-da. So it was quite outrageous. And Cleese said to me, I'm taking mine off. I said, are you? He said, I am. I said, okay, but he cheated. Because when he did that, he turned his back to camera and took off his drawers. You know? And it's quite amazing, because when he was on top of me, because sex scenes in films, you know, we never think we're doing it, if you know what I mean. It's just acting. And so Cleese was on top of me, so we had a couple of takes on it. You know? And so he's endlessly talking to me about Ken Campbell, Prunella G's husband, and asking me all about him and saying, don't you think he's mad as a hatter? I said, well, not really. I mean, I did meet him in Chalk Farm tube station while he was taking a ferret to work, that he puts down his trousers. But I think he's okay. So that was our conversation during our sex scene. Ken Campbell. In fact, my friend's just written a book on Ken Campbell. Amazing, amazing alternative actor.
Oh, there we go. My mic was takes mention. Fabulous. Thank you so much. It's always a delight. To get your autograph. We'll announce when we'll be starting in just 1 minute.